This video series covers the basics of working with our Central software suite. If you don't have Central up and running yet, you may want to check out our Getting Started video for more information. This tutorial covers the use of Central's raster plot. The raster plot application within Central allows us to view data from any of Central's inputs in a customizable raster. When raster plot is open for the first time, it will have all channels loaded by default, but the first thing that will need to be done is to customize it to only show the channels that we want. To do this, we can use the Channel Selector button on the toolbar. The Channel Select window allows us to choose which channels will be displayed by highlighting them and utilizing the arrows in the center. The double arrows move all channels over to one side or the other, while the single arrows move only the highlighted selection. In addition to amplifier input channels, the analog inputs, digital inputs, serial inputs, and comments can all be viewed. I'm going to add 4 channels of neural data, my first analog input, and comments to my display window. We can see that the 4 channels are shown and my comments are empty. By default, Raster will overlay the continuous data and spike ticks on any channels that currently have continuous data enabled. If we want to change the type of data that is shown, we simply need to click on the channel that we want to modify. Selecting a channel in Raster plot will highlight it in yellow to show that it is the currently selected channel. Double-clicking it will open up the single neural channel interface. We have covered that in a previous video, so let's close it and continue. When a channel is selected that has continuous data, a new box will appear that allows us to enable continuous data in our raster plot. Clicking this box allows us to modify the presence of continuous data, and clicking the one next to it allows us to modify the presence of the spike ticks. Keep in mind that, like any other data, the data, and thus the icon, will only be present if it has been enabled in that channel's properties. At this point, our comments field is still empty though, so let's change that. To make a comment in the data while using Raster, simply begin typing. The comment will appear in the comments field when I hit enter, and both the time at which I initiated the comment and the time I pushed the enter is saved with the comment in the file. Comments can be entered in a similar way when the main Central panel is active, or by using the Add Comments button. Now that we have our chosen channels in the raster plot and are showing the proper data, it is time to start customizing the appearance. Selected channels have their display size increased or decreased using the expand or contract icons in the toolbar. The red arrows will simply minimize or maximize the channel's display size. Like many of our other applications, selecting multiple channels will allow single channel functions to be used on multiple channels at once. After selecting multiple channels, we can see that I am able to adjust the display size for all of them at the same time. The blue upwards and downwards arrows will change the position of the channel within the list, while the red X will remove the channel from the list entirely. In addition to channel position and size, we can use the text tools to change the size of the display text. If continuous data is available, we can utilize the slider in the upper toolbar to change its vertical scale. Now, sometimes it can be difficult to see the spike ticks through the continuous signal, or vice versa, so it may be best to separate the two signal types. To make so that the continuous data and the spike data are not overlaid, you can press the plus button icon to break out every channel into its separate data streams. For channels with spikes that have been sorted into units, this would also separate the units into separate lines. In the case of digital inputs, it would break it into separate bits. To reverse this breakout, we can simply click on the minus button. The final changes in appearance affect the scrolling action of the plot. To modify the rate at which the data scrolls, we can use the drop-down menu to modify the scroll speed. Or, we can choose the method of scrolling using the play buttons, or pause scrolling entirely using the pause button. When we are satisfied with the appearance of our raster for the given experiment, we can use the File menu to save our raster configuration into a .rcf file, which can be loaded in the future to quickly come back to this configuration. That concludes our tutorial on the raster plot application for Central, and you should now be comfortable adjusting the appearance and function of raster to best display data for your experiments. Thank you for joining us today for this tutorial. Be sure to check out our other videos in this series on the other Central modules. For information on any of our products, manuals can be found at www.blackrockmicro.com.